Welcome back to Collateral Damage. Hope you all having a fantastic day. We have a shiny new battle report fresh off the presses for y'all, featuring a guest today. Tony, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Tony. Playing the Kentucky meta. Been playing Warmachine for probably about I don't know, probably almost 10 years at this point. Been largely a Khador player, but in Mark IV, been playing a lot of Dusk. So, first game back on Khador today.
And how is Khador feeling?
They feel pretty good since the balance changes. I've been quite happy. Some nerfs, but I think the things they brought up have been pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. You all know me. I am Corey from the previous battle report with the Gravediggers. I am our local filthy Cygnar player, and we have some new stuff straight off of Steam Forge printers to show y'all today. So today we are trying out, on my end, Major Grant Vargus. I literally got this guy's package the day before we had our game night to do this, so I'm very glad he came in. He is a very interesting caster. He is what I think might be one of the best ones that Gravediggers has to offer. He has a pretty beefy focus set. He has 3 racked spells to choose from, and a variety of abilities that can really do a lot for his army. Notably, he has the Carnage spell, which I'm sure our Crix players will recognize as a fantastic hit fixer, as well as a feat that I'm sure several of our Orgoth friends will recognize, which is +3 armor and no knockdown. He ends up running, I believe, a pretty heavy battle group as a result, especially since he comes baked in with Field Marshal Fleet. In this list, you're seeing me run 2 Borealises and 2 Valiants. The Borealises are a bit of a tech pick with him. I didn't want to have to spend the points for a second unit of Gun Mages, and Borealises being able to largely fuel themselves off of the obligatory Storm Veins you're taking does a lot to help smooth things out in that regard. We're then fleshing out the rest of the list with double machine guns. The heavy machine guns are fairly obnoxious to remove. They get cover all the time, and on top of that have a fairly strong sentry fire rule, which lets them take pot shots at anything that gets too close. You can also do some pretty silly tech with them when it comes to med packs, but we'll have to save that for another video. We didn't really try that here for reasons we'll discuss later on. Afterwards, we have Lieutenant Stella Barron. She is another one of the newer models that have released. She is a character solo for Gravediggers, who offers a variety of very useful battle plans. Most notably, she has the ability to allow you to move and see through your own models as one of those. It is called Precision Strike, and it is crucial to being able to get around my own bad plays. After that, we have our unit of Rangers with an Express Sniper. Express Sniper gives them a cautious advance rule, something from all the way back in Mark II. Lets them dig in while not losing their combat actions after a move. Then we have our Storm Veins, and you know them, you love them, the Rowdies. Why don't you tell us a little about your list, Tony?
All right, so here on the good guys side, we're running Captain Alari Borisyuk. He's one of the casters that recently got buffed in the balance patch up in January. So he mainly likes to run a heavy battle group because his feat is very much so battle group focused. So the speed is the most important, so we'll start there. His feat is models in his battle group gain boosted ranged attack rolls. So every roll, every attack you make, even ones that are done through outside of their activation, are also boosted as well. Very big. And then if a model in his battle group kills, very spooky. And if a model in your battle group kills a model, someone else in your battle group gets to make a 2-inch move and then either a ranged shot or melee attack. Predominantly with this list, gonna be a ranged attack, obviously.
No, makes sense. Lets you use it as a pseudo threat extender as well.
Yep. Also, going to himself, he's also a pretty big threat himself. So he has a Rat 8 gun that's range 14, POW 10. He's also a weapon master on that gun, and it's magical. He has 3 different shot types. One is a crit armor pierce. One is a flare, which is great for helping with stealth. I believe seeing through clouds as well, and it also helps with some accuracy issues too.
Kara's
And also,
crying herself to sleep.
yeah, poor girl. And then he also has Grievous wounds as well, so he can help with tough models as well. And he can make 2 of those shots because he has to reload 1. Going to his spell list, he has Dark Unraveling, which makes it so every model in your battle group, their weapons gain Blessed and Magical. Very, very good for fixing a lot of his problems. Very good into the thing that he really wants to play into. He also has Veil of Mist, which is a nice little 3-inch cloud he gets to put down. It's an upkeep, and it also makes it so our friendly faction models can see through that. I believe they can also move through it as well. So it gives them some nice, clearance issues, line of sight issues for fixing. Mm-hmm. Going to the Jack list here, we have 3 Great Bears. I'll start with those. They are all the exact same build. So this is with the Repo 3 head, sorry. And the right arm is the Deep Freezer, which is a range 14. I believe it's a POW 14 as well. And on crit, it also has an effect of stationarying the model and all models that are hit, and it's an AoE 3, so it can potentially stationary 4 models around it. And then the axe, just melee beater Khador axe, range 1, POW 17 on that. So nothing, just to give you a little bit of melee threat as well. Going to the Direwolf, it's built a little bit different. It has the evasive head, which evasive is a rule that says when a model is hit by a ranged attack, you can make a 2-inch move afterwards. It also has running the Ice Hammer, which is the range 1 POW 17 option for the Direwolf. And then it also has the Heavy Chain Gun, which is a range 10 rate of fire D3 plus 1, and it's a volume fire gun. It's a POW 12 as well. And then we also have Razor, who is the character for that came with the 2-person battle box for Khador. He has a slug gun, which is range 8, kind of on the low side, but with Alari, he makes up for it a little bit with the movement in his feet. But it's a very high POW, I believe it's POW 16. It also has reload as well, and also momentum, so it can knock models down or push models back if they're small or medium base. That's his main stick. He also has 2 grenades that are not really that great, but they do let you flare a model, which lets you ignore cloud effects when you're determining a line of sight to them. So that can be useful on occasion. And also in this list, so we brought Korupnik as the solo. His main purpose is to literally put a cloud on Alari, so he's always in stealth. Because another rule of Alari that he has prowl as well.
Real good.
Yep. But don't want to bring Fog of War because it's expensive, so we bring the Korupnik. We also have Volkova, who is a very good model with Alari. She has a spell that I believe it's guidance, that allows her to get magical weapons to a model, also allows them to get eyeless sight as well. It's fantastic for line of sight issues from clouds, which are very prevalent. She also has access to ancillary attack as well, which is great because that means I can get an extra attack from my models. So obviously I have a low model count. Getting an extra attack is nice every now and then. And next unit is the Arcanist. Very important. Give out focus, which is great because Alari likes to use a lot of his focus. Next unit is the Hounds. Hounds are the character unit that also came with the 2-person battle box. They do a varied amount of things. One of them, unfortunately, I never remember the name of it, but one of them has a range 8 gun that's also a POW 6 armor pierce. Nice for letting her punch a little bit above her weight. One of them has a chain gun that gets D3 plus 1 shots. It's a POW 12. It also has crit knockdown, which can be, on occasion, very useful. And then the third one has a gun that is a AoE. If it's range 12, POW 12, AoE blast 8, AoE 2. So good for infantry clear. And
Absolutely. You know, I don't think I have seen the Hounds outside of a Khador list I've played since they've released.
I don't know. I don't think you should. I think the Hounds are probably one of the best units that Khador has. Which is probably saying maybe not a lot because I don't think Khador has a lot of great infantry, but they definitely stand out.
It does definitely highlight how good value that SK6 box is, though. Like, you're going to be using just about every single model in there.
Oh yeah, yep, for sure. And going on to the last unit, it is the Winter Korps infantry. I'm running double autocannons because the autocannon, one of the things that got buffed as well in the January balance patch, was now the autocannons can CRA with the Winter Korps infantry, which means it allows them to punch up a little bit further, be a little bit more accurate as well. But predominantly, their purpose there is to die. Because I brought a Vidging Force for my caster, which allows me to get a 3-inch move and an extra shot. So obviously I need a model to die or to get damaged in order to proc that, and it has to be a warrior model. So all my models are pretty important. So I need something that's not important to effectively to proc that. So that's what their main purpose is. And then now that I've ran through my list, I think we'll go to just explaining the scenario.
So, the scenario that we ended up rolling up was Color Guard. Color Guard is a fairly dynamic scenario. It has a couple of different scoring elements in play here. We have two 50mm objectives in the center that need to be scored by cohort models, as well as two caches that you can pop for a pretty nice little swing in points. But the most notable thing is the flags. The flags actually will move around over the course of the game, jumping to a piece of terrain within 5 of the flag. I will say that we didn't necessarily set this table up, I think, as well as we should have. One thing that we've definitely been more aware of going forward is that whenever you roll up Color Guard, you really need to potentially rearrange terrain scenario and make sure that every piece of terrain is at least within 5 of 2 other pieces of terrain. Otherwise, the scenario doesn't really work super great. This will tie in a little bit into when we start talking about deployment, because I believe, Tony, you won the roll-off, and what side did you choose?
Yep, so I picked I guess on the left, it'll be on the left-hand side, but the side that I picked, the flag location had only one piece of terrain that was selectable, and there was no other terrain around that piece. So that means the flag never moved the entire game.
Indeed. It's a solid play. It definitely puts a whole lot of pressure on the other player, because if I can't stop that drip, especially if you're able to contest my flag at all as it's moving, this can get a little hairy for me. Starting into Gravediggers deployment, I went ahead and began setting up with the intention to be able to threaten both of those 50mm points, while also being able to get my caster safely behind that wall with that force protecting me. After that, I started moving on with my main deployment, get some storm veins in place, and then I start with the Rangers on that far flank over there. I have a bit of an idea for a cheeky pincer maneuver, but we'll see if that works out.
All right, so for Khador deployment here, so Alari doesn't have a very large control range, and obviously I don't have a lot of models. So my goal here when I'm deploying my models is to kind of try to stretch out as far as possible, but it's also try to stretch out far enough so that I still have enough kind of coverage to get to all the scenario pieces here. Those two in the middle is going to be kind of hard to get to, especially with that obstruction there in the way on the right-hand side. But I put 2 jacks over there on the bottom-hand side. I'm hoping that they can hopefully help, but we'll see.
Advanced deployment. So, going into here for Gravediggers, I go ahead and put my Rowdies on the flank with the Rangers, puts them as far away from torches I can get them. This also supports this hard flank plan that I have cooking up. After that, I mostly am getting my machine guns in place, as well as getting my gun mages on the other side, That way I can preserve access to any of the drop jacks that I really need to get into play and wherever I'll really need to get them. And you'll see that a little bit later, but I do have to have a jack marshal in place to do that, so I wanted to have as much coverage as I could.
All right, so as Corey is finishing up, I like that you called him Torch. He is effectively Torch, but technically he's a Razor.
Can't stop. Oh, Vicol's just strike off 2 changed my mind.
True. All
HRT is a hell of a drug.
For Khador Advanced Deploy, I had a lot less to worry about here. I'm just deploying a Hounds. I'm deploying on the left-hand side because I think that makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of sit behind that building and kind of pop shots out and jump back behind. So.
All right, let's get this corpse party started. So, I'm not going to be really doing any allocations this turn. This is very much going to be, I'm going to try to run up in position as well as I can outside of your threat range so I can begin doing my stupid stuff later. I'm going to go ahead and just straight up get those heavy machine guns up there. Then after that, we are going to have Stella move up and get Precision Strike out there. This will help solve anything that I accidentally lock out, like you might have seen with my first Sin game. Being able to just move through my own models reduces a whole lot of mental strain on playing an army that is, frankly, I think moderately complex to keep straight. There's a lot of triggers involved. After that, we are starting to just get our jacks up after Vargus casts Rhythm of War and drops Silence of Death on one of our Borealis. With that in play, we're starting to measure out to see where we can safely get the rowdies up. I wanted to run them just so I can get as much threat on them so I can start clouding up as quickly as possible. After that, we're going to be moving the Rangers behind them and making a beeline. By rushing up this way, I think I will be able to functionally take that wall from Tony. And then once I can use that as a shooting platform onto that flag, maybe even take that flag. The fact that flag is not going to move might end up being a blessing for Tony, but also a bit of a curse, because it means through the entire game, I know exactly where it's going to be and can plan accordingly.
All right, so for Khador Deployment here, something I had to be acutely aware of is the threat range on Corey's jacks here. So I believe it's one of the Valiants, I believe, the heavy. He has a gun that can pull you in. So the range on it is actually quite long. So I'm trying to make sure I'm staying out of that the best I can because I don't want to really lose a jack for free. So first thing I do, I walk Krubnik up. He puts a cloud on Alari. The cloud stays stationary on him, so I don't have to worry about moving up and losing it. I move up this direwolf behind this building here, just trying to maybe get a little bit of cover in case he tries to pop forward and shoot me. I move these Winter Korps infantry up. I kind of know they're going to die, but I'm hoping that only just a couple will die here. Foreshadowing, unfortunately, a little bit more than I thought might end up dying here. Run the Hounds up behind that building there, just like I said, kind of get them in position to pop out. And then here I measure the, I believe it's 19 inches from the Valiant to make sure I can't get pulled in at all here. So I'm quite far back on deployment.
The Harpoon Valiants have a pretty substantial threat on them, and he was right to respect that. Between fleet and a potential ammo crate that can really reach out and touch you, and not wanting to lose a jack for free, I can't blame him for that. However, Tony has positioned incredibly conservatively. I'm not going to need defeat this turn, I don't believe, while I'm also going to be able to, I think, put a pretty heavy amount of pressure on Scenario that he might be too far back to really do anything about. Which is, I think, my game plan for this turn. Push very hard up that left flank, while also positioning very aggressively on the 250mm, and force him to kind of do something about that or just lose the game.
Yep, and on my side, having so few models that are so high cost, it's kind of hard for me to just put models up here, which is why I had to be so far back, which unfortunately means that you're going to be able to get a pretty good advantage on me, kind of like what you were saying. I don't expect to lose much here. Maybe some Winter Korps infantry, maybe a handful of those, but not looking to be too far down on points at least.
All right, let's begin. Operation Score Some Heckin' Points. So, we begin with some allocations. We're not going particularly crazy. We give one focus to one of our Valiants, but aside from that, we're not going to be doing a whole lot. We're going to go ahead and then move the Rowdies up and set up a cloud wall. But on top of that, they're also going to be using our heavy airdrop card to place a jack that is going to enter within one, and then it's going to just go ahead and move up on them. This will let me basically score that 50 millimeter potentially without actually having to commit any of my jacks to it. On top of that, we are then going to have them reposition behind those clouds so I can move the trenchers up and get real aggressive on that flag next turn. After that, we are then going to be looking to see how many Winter Guard we can kill. Because there are Winter Guard contesting that 50 millimeter, and well, if you're gonna trigger Avenging Force, you might as well just trigger as much of it as you can. It's only going to ever get that one move, so if you're gonna have to kill a warrior model, you're gonna want to have to try to wipe the unit. We go ahead and start off that. Our Trollkin Sniper picks off one of them. Then after that, we're gonna spool up our machine gun. It gets to aim, and it's gonna pop off two as well. Following that, our Borealis is going to pick up Fleet. Fleet with that gun is fantastic. And then pop a boosted shot over there and take that sucker down, giving us another kill. After that, we are then going to move a Valiant up. That Valiant is within 3 to score that, but it is also far enough away that you're really only going to be able to shoot it. I didn't end up taking decel on this just because with Dark Unraveling, deceleration was kind of going to be a dead drop. But I did still feel that with what you would be able to put into it, you're not going to get a whole lot of free shots off me this turn. You're just not going to, at most, you're going to kill 2 machine guns for 2 free shots. So I wasn't super worried about your feet giving me a heavy volume of fire turn.
All right, so for Khador Turn 2 here, maintenance is pretty easy. Just power all my jacks up. I allocate one to Razor because I think he's going to get a lot of work done this turn. And then I do my Avenging Force trigger. I move Razor up because I'm measuring it here at the top, and if Razor moves up 3 inches, he should be able to make an Hour of the Wolf attack and then move up 2 more, and maybe it makes some shots at that Valiant there. So what happens here, I move Alari up, feet, measure to this chain gun here, and as you can tell, I boosted, or I didn't boost, I boosted from feet, and I missed 2, I believe it was 7s in a row. And from there, everything kind of goes downhill, if I'm being honest with you. So I was hoping to kill that chain gun in order to start my Hour of the Wolf chains, but when that doesn't happen, with the number of attacks I have, it makes it really hard to have to deal with that. So I move these chain gun guys up. They try to make some shots. Unfortunately, they don't hit either. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit tilted at this point. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm measuring some stuff with the Hounds, thinking about what exactly I'm going to do next to try to proc Hour of the Wolf so I can move this Razor up a little bit. And by the way, Razor is on that proxy because of the wall was kind of weird. So what I end up thinking about doing is I walk up, I allocate some focus here. I allocate, I believe, 2 to this I think it's 2 to the Great Bear and then 1 to the Dire, sorry, other way around. 2 to the Dire Wolf, 1 to the Great Bear. I move the Great Bear up, and with its AoE gun, I boost to shoot the Chain Gunner. See here, does hit, rolls pretty high. So that starts the chain there. Kills him, does not make tough, and then wangs the guy next to him. Does a pretty good chunk to him. I believe it leaves him on 1. So that allows me to move Razor forward. And moving Razor forward here, checking measuring distance, making sure I have the distance there. Razor does have Pathfinder, so I don't have to worry about the wall. So I move within 8 here. Make some boosted shots with this slug gun. It does hit barely. He has a Rat 6, but Rat 6 is miss-boosted sometimes.
You do a pretty hefty amount to the Valiant with this. I think you end up taking it down to about half health.
Yeah, I did some good damage, which was nice. Needed a little win after those Alari misses, so. So then after those rolls, I try to make some grenade shots here. I believe I kill a Storm Van, if I remember correctly, or maybe get one down pretty low. I move Volkova up. I should have measured this beforehand, but I tried to move up to ancillary attack to make another slug shot. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there, so I decided to move her back towards the cache, thinking that nobody else could have got up to that Valiant. Move the Hound up, slug gun, to make sure I can get within range of the slug gun here. Make a slug gun shot. I think I hit her for a couple of points of damage on that Valiant. Not too much. The grenade shoots the Valiant as well, or the grenade Hound shoots the Valiant. Does a couple more points of damage. That's really about it. They don't do too much here. So after they're done, they repo back behind this building, kind of, to serve their purpose. Yeah, we're kind of just discussing roles here, so.
Picking up the Storm Vein and then getting the repositions all sorted out.
Yep. The damage rolls were not bad, but the Valiant armor is so high, even in the high roll, it's not going to really deal that much. So I moved this Great Bear up. Yes, very solid. Especially against 12, unboosted. So Great Bear moves up. He does shoot that, I believe he shoots the Valiant there. It doesn't deal much. I was hoping for a crit, but unfortunately do not get it. And then on the bottom side, Direwolf scoots up. He tries to shoot the blocker, so that way I can hopefully try to free up this scenario piece. First shot deals about 3. Second hit, I do boost it, and it deals about 8. And then final shot, I shoot it. It does about 9 more points. It has about 4 left here.
Yeah, it is just about dead.
Yep. Unfortunately, that is all my moves here, so don't really have any more attacks. So I kind of moved this Great Bear up to kind of posture position, hoping make it scary for you. All right, so my thoughts after that turn kind of feel like I feeded maybe a bit too early. I drastically underestimated how hard it would be to kill your infantry. And then you just don't have a lot of models to kill, if I'm being honest. And then missing those 2 shots with Alari kind of set me back on my shot economy there. So definitely feet too early. But we'll see if we can maybe weather the storm here.
Going up a point ahead of you on your turn opens up a pretty strong opportunity for me on scenario. If I'm able to potentially disrupt your flag, then I think you're going to start having a real big problem, especially with not being able to efficiently move your jacks back onto that flank. Because, well, your jacks are pretty tanky. They are not particularly fast.
No, absolutely not. That's not something Khador is known for.
It makes rotating when something like this can happen a little bit difficult. So we'll see if we can execute that. All right, so you're going to have to bear with me on this one. This is going to be a bit of a hefty turn. We have some things to do. We're going to start with getting all of our upkeeps back, and then we're going to be allocating 1 to each of our Borealises, and 1 to our Valiants as well. Aside from that, we're going to be trying to keep enough on Vargus where I don't have to worry about him randomly dying. After that, we are going to do a few quick assessments. I need to clear off those flags, and I would like to kill 2 jacks this turn and score my 50 millimeters. We have moved my flag over to that rebel, but that shouldn't be a problem. So doing some math, I go ahead and move up our trenchers, and I do a little bit of a cheeky thing here. But I need to airdrop a jack that can then walk onto that flag terrain. But in order to do that, I have to first drop it within an inch of my trenchers, the rangers. I move, and then in order to extend that to be able to get onto there, I actually move the largest model, our Kroken Sniper, to give me that just a little bit of distance where he can actually just now walk onto that terrain and immediately begin contesting. This lets us fully execute that pincer maneuver that I was thinking about earlier, and largely turn off scoring for my friend Tony here until he's able to deal with that light jack and all of these infantry. After that, we start popping shots into the jack. It has evasive, however, which is not something that I had remembered, allowing him to move into engagement with my blocker, raising his defense to a mighty 14. Means those poor rangers had to hit on 4s instead of hitting on 2s. We're still able to get a couple hits onto him, enough that it's going to matter, and also the evasive moves are going to put him in threat of my Valiant.
Yeah, mistake I made here. I really should have moved him behind that building to try to move him away from the Valiant, but...
Oh, 100%. You honestly could have positioned him a little bit more aggressively as well because of how evasive interacts with the harpoon. Even if I damage you and move you in, you then get to move 2 inches out of my engagement.
Oh, good point, good point.
We are going to then get those gun mages up and finish off some empowers. I want to make sure that we have this boy dead to rights. We fully set up and then charge in with our Valiant. Valiant is going to pretty easily get up there. And then he's going to start smacking. PS18 is pretty nice. You've got that nice Khador armor, but we dinged you up pretty heavily from the Rangers, which definitely gives us a pretty solid chance to get rid of this boy, especially with the Borealis able to be on backup duty.
Yeah, he was assuredly dead.
Yeah, he was probably not going to be surviving a Valiant and a Borealis. We end up picking him down right to the last box. Afterwards, we then trigger a reposition so I can have 2 battle group models on top of that 50mm and guarantee a score there. After that, we are then going to move up the Rowdies, who are then going to start taking some pot shots. Our Spray Boy is going to be hitting your Arcanus. I didn't super expect to kill all of them, but any damage I did to them would be nice. We did end up picking up the entire unit, which was unexpected, but not upsetting. After that, we are then going to repo 3, all in different directions to spread out, and put you in a position where I can very easily score your flag next turn. With this flank largely on lockdown, I now have to assess what we are doing about raising. I decide to move over here, and we start with Stella. The Raised Valiant, actually, is going to start. He drops an ammo crate, and then forfeits his movement, and tries to harpoon Razor to just drag him in. Superiority is a hell of a drug, though, and it means that I have to boost the hit and boost damage to get him where I need him, as well as taking down that ammo crate in order to get +2 damage on the harpoon to make sure that I crack. Because while the harpoons are good, they're the style of harpoons in the game where I still have to damage in order to pull you in. It's not just on hit.
Unfortunately, do not get any fancy convergence tools here.
No, not quite as good as a frog tongue either. Still, we are able to, spending those resources, get him all up there and start beating on Razor. But we end up whiffing a couple of our hammer hits. Needing sixes to hit can be rough sometimes. And then we start assessing what our other options are. We need to do something about the hounds. So I go with Stella and have her aim and do a battle plan and shoot a hound. Get some solid damage in there, and then move over to our surviving machine gun, which is going to spool up and do the same thing using the ammo crate to try to boost its damage.
Tactician's so good.
It is incredible. Just being able to see and move through your own models, it makes everything much easier for you. After that, we are then going to be seeing if we can do anything with Vargus. He moves up to be able to benefit from the ammo crate and then starts spooling up to get those last two down. He has powerful attack on his gun, so he burns that as well as an ammo crate to put a boosted PAL 15 in. It takes a couple of shots, but he is able to pop off one, and then he will not boost on the last one, but still tick down the ammo crate, because with that shield wall, it takes your armor down a little bit. And we are lucky enough to proc that tough check and see that those hounds go away. To the doghouse with them, away. And if you don't want to end up in the doghouse, make sure you like and subscribe. Finishing that up with a move our Borealis up to start smacking on to Razor. Then it shoots his gun into the tuft hound. Easy day. And then we will just resume beating up on Razor. This doesn't go quite how I would like. We end up leaving Razor, doing a decent chunk of damage to Razor, but frankly, he is still relatively healthy after this Borealis is done with him. Just not able to quite get what we need there. After that, we decide to go ahead and activate the other Borealis. It pays for fleet, so it can move and shoot its gun at a torch. We actually spike damage pretty high on this, but still not enough to take torch down. I think by the end of this, he's left at like 2 or 3 boxes, which is a true Greek tragedy, and Icarus who flew too close to the sun. After that, we are mostly done at this point. Going to be starting to do our Rhythm of War triggers and figure out where I need all of the jacks to be. Vargus had feeded this turn. I had forgotten to mention that, and for that I apologize. Which does give me a pretty hefty armor swing. I'm feeling fairly good though. I'm going to be going up pretty high on scenario this turn, and I don't know if Tony's going to have a good way to contest.
All right, so things are looking like dire straits on the Khador side here.
More like dire wolf straits.
Absolutely. Well, like that dire wolf you killed. So, all right. So at this point, I'm down. I believe 4-1 on scenario, or maybe it's 6-2 at this point. So looking like an assassination run here is gonna have to happen. So I'm measuring, trying to see, hey, there's even feasibly a thing that can happen. Razor is pretty blocked up over there. He's not really going to be able to do much. So with him being on only a handful of boxes, he's kind of out of the equation for an assassination. So it's really just Alari and this Great Bear. So I take my Avenging Force move, move Alari up, drop Avenging Force. I drew a pop shot into the blocker. Does 7 points and kills it. Not really my goal this turn, but it is a thing that happened. So here, what I'm kind of thinking about is, okay, if I can maybe move Alari up, get rid of this walls in front of Vargus, a little bit easier to hit. Vargus is a 19 armor, so maybe if I get lucky, land some armor pierces. I believe he goes down to a 10 or an 11, so I can wang him for some pretty good damage, and then maybe the Great Bear can come up, boost the last shot into him. So what happens here, I'm measuring, I apparition her up to see if maybe I can move Razor over here. If I can get Volkova within 3 inches in order to maybe make a shot over here. Measuring it, I don't really think it's a possibility. Unfortunately, I think he's a little bit too far away, and that forest is just a tad bit too thick, I believe. But we're measuring it here.
I think you're able to end up getting that bear, that on me, but it's dicey.
Yeah.
Vargus's feet is a lot to chew through.
Yep. So here I'm measuring my measuring my walk on a Lari. It's a 7-inch walk. I could get there and then get the angle on it to make sure I can get it actually in line of sight. So thinking about some math here, it's looking real bad, but we're gonna go for it because it's really the only option we have available. So I'm gonna boost a armor pierce shot here, sapper the wall. Also go back at this point and think, oh, I forgot the lucky penny, because it's start of activation from your caster that does it. So I ask Corey if it's okay. He lets me lucky penny. So I'm back up to 4 focus after the 1 allocated to the Great Bear. So I boost a hit, boost damage on this. Doesn't. I believe that first shot misses.
Mm-hmm.
So I do the second shot, reload.
It.
Yeah, I had to hard roll it. That's right, because I didn't have enough focus. So I do the second shot. It does hit. Did about 5 damage. I believe you negate it. So I walk this Great Bear up. Chances are at this point not very good. I do boost, hit, land the crit stationary. And then I boost damage on this, and I don't believe it does really much of anything. And then at this point, things aren't looking great. So I believe we have decided that this is unwinnable. And then we'll shake hands.
Yeah, I think you get one more shot on here. You're gonna move that Great Bear up and toss an ancillary, but it is not great. I do agree this is probably the best chance that you had, but you still basically needed to get 2 crits in a row and hard roll an 8, and it's just dicey.
Yeah, it's a hard assassination on that. Definitely a Hail Mary.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think about Gravediggers? I think this was your first game into them proper.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, first proper game. They are definitely a very tricky faction. They have a lot of games. They have a lot of little interactions they can do, a lot of thought you have to do during a game, that much more so than any other faction I've ever seen. So they seem, I would say, fair, but I would say they also seem very hard to play.
They're definitely tricky. There's a lot of triggers you have to be constantly keeping in mind. You have to be able to hit your card drops and know exactly what you need and when to drop it, and do some hard math on just about all of those. But I do think they can be very rewarding when you play them right, and watching them all sing. On your end, I definitely can appreciate the threat from your caster. He seems very, very strong. As I'd mentioned earlier, Dark Unraveling is one hell of a spell. Like, even though you never had to cast it, the very fact that you had it meant that I just couldn't take any of my armor buff spells.
It is a nice little threat that's available for Alari. Even with him having all that, though, I think he's a very, very focused caster. I think he's good at very specific things, not really a generalist caster, especially against a faction that has Windstorm. That's a very, very strong effect against him.
It's hard to win a gunfight with Gravediggers. I think that's one thing that people are probably going to find out, is that Gravediggers' range defenses and ability to hit and run and kind of abuse their own range makes it very hard for ranged armies to pin them down.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But this was a fantastic game, man, and I definitely appreciated having you on the channel. I can't wait to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man. Anytime.
And that concludes our 4th episode of Collateral Damage. I hope that you all had a blast, and make sure that you once again toss us a nice little like and subscribe there at the end. Your comments are also always welcome. It has been great to see the game popping back up as hard as it has. It has been feeling like it's been in a really good spot lately, and I am really excited to see more. We're going to have a lot more new releases and battle reports for y'all next week. And in the meantime, Good luck, and may y'all always roll sixes.